Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to look at the new Riftwatcher cards, using the testnet to analyze some of these monsters. It'll be my first look through. I have intentionally not watched the other videos that are out there because I want to have my own opinions. And so maybe I'll be right, maybe I'll be wrong about my first read on these new synergies and how they interlock and interact with one another. But I definitely want to go through it. I think it'll be fun for me and hopefully for you too. So we're going to look at Riftwatcher cards. We're going to talk about synergies. We're going to talk about what I see as being really powerful and maybe what I see as underwhelming. If that sounds interesting. Stick around and stay tuned. Like and subscribe. Have an amazing day. Okay. So I've got it open up already, but before I do that, I actually want to see how many packs we have left on Chaos Legion. Did we do it? Not quite. We still got 27,000 to sell. 26,600 to sell before we get Yasik. That'll be a big, huge change to this game. So that's exciting stuff. Now let's go over to Riftwatchers, and I've got, this is the testnet opened, and I'm just gonna hit refresh in case there's been updates because I opened this last night. What? Look at that. You have unclaimed card airdrops. Close. Because in the testnet, people must have bought up Chaos Legion cards. I bought up 2,000 Chaos Legion packs last night fakely in this system because they give us 10 million SPS and 10 million DEC, and as a result, the testnet has different Chaos Legion sales than the real internet, the real system. Regardless, that's not what we're here to look at today. We're going to go to Riftwatcher specifically. And you need to go over here to all cards. I don't own any of them. And so that's why they are grayed out a little bit, or a little bit translucent. So we'll look at fire first. Okay, Mirage. Love the artwork. This is amazing. This to me looks like classic Splinterlands, but like updated with a huge new improvement. Low mana, high mana cost for low damage output, decent speed, headwinds, low hit points. I would say that's a low hit points. This is not big enough to be a tank. This is maybe interesting because they talked about how they're going to introduce new higher mana matches at bronze. So possibly this gets some love at bronze, but I kind of hate it at bronze. Like, I'm thinking that's too much mana. That's too few hit points. It's not good as an off tank. It's not even good for a sneak attack defender, really. Yeah, 2 damage is okay. And if you have, Jotun, you're going to feel better about that. But I mean, if you have Jotun, you have a strong deck, and this is not a part of that strong deck. Headwinds is cool, always. This is probably a good card at higher levels. The speed is great at low levels, but again, it's just too much mana for too little card. Let's see what it does at higher levels. Keeps the headwinds the whole way. It's a reflection shield at the higher levels. I like this a lot, because you could put a taunt at the rear. There's taunt monsters that you could put at the rear, and then I know there's more taunt monsters coming. For fire right now, you only have Magnor, but and that wouldn't really work at the rear. But maybe you could put this in the second position, even behind Magnor, and then get the benefit from that reflection shield in blasts, rule sets, or and then at the highest level, it's got 8 hit points, which is definitely better from an off tank perspective. This is by no means a tank; it has no close range or anything like that, but it's got that meat shield component, which you really, really, really need. Especially in 99 mana matches, you can't come to a game like that with 3 mana monsters, 4 mana, even 6 mana monsters are really vulnerable. And so I don't like this card initially. Even at the highest levels, I think, sure, it's doing 4 damage, which is quite significant. But again, 7 mana, it has no close range. It has no... I don't know. I mean, it feels to me like there are monsters out there that are 6 mana, 5 mana that are doing just as much archery damage, even 4 mana that are doing just as much or more archery damage. It's got that support function of the headwinds, which is great. But this is an underwhelming card to start with. Artwork's amazing, cards a bit whatever. Reflection shield is absolutely important, though, is one thing I want to kind of come back to. So I don't love this card, but Reflection Shield is even more important after Riftwatchers than it is today, and it's already really important. So this alone begins to say, wait a second, at least keep this in the back of your mind for those blast conditions and whatnot. But that's only at gold or better. You don't get level 6 until gold of common, right? Common 3, 4, 5. Yeah, at gold or better, you're gonna get reflection shield, and then I would start being interested. At silver or bronze, I think this really sucks, especially for the mana cost. Let's move on. Septic Slime. He's got a good amount of hit points and shield. I like that. Two melee, 8 mana. So it's not going to be giant killed. It's got stun at the lowest levels. He's got that reverse speed rule set going for it. The artwork's fun. You know, it looks like he's a creeping ooze, but like militant. He looks like he's reaching out, you know, parrying or stabbing with a knife there. Looks like he's been attacked from multiple angles, but it's not stopping him. I like that. That's cool artwork. And this again, Splinterlands, but modern. Love it. And I think for bronze, again, high mana cost, but at least it's a melee, so it's going to fight from the first position. It's too slow for most situations. It will get eaten alive. But in reverse rule sets, this can be a really cheap, inexpensive tank for you to play with. And I'm going to suspect this is quite strong at higher levels, because that number of hit points to start with is great. And the stun is all you need. Stun is one of the most important abilities in the game, especially with the knockout. And we know that there's not much stun at bronze. So that's always great. It really is nothing special until gold. I mean, I'm again, nothing special. This is significant. This is a good tank. This is a good amount of hit points. It's not giant killed, but it's really a reverse special, you know, warrior. And if you get hit with magic, you're in trouble. So reverse rule set only, higher mana matches primarily, and hopefully your opponent doesn't do magic, right? Otherwise, I consider that quite vulnerable. But in knockout rule sets, or where melee can go from any position, I start to really like it. Reverse rule sets, I liked it. I start to like it. The tank heal is certainly nice. Fire doesn't have a lot of that from a tank healer. I think this might be the first. Yeah, I think it might be the first. So I actually really like it at gold and above. Because tank heal with a sizable hit point, this makes me think like a reverse rule set Pelacor Mercenary. You know, you've got a good amount of hit points. You got some decent armor. You're below the 10, which gives you the giant kill benefit. The reverse rule set, you're laughing with the 1 speed. The tank heal, so it's like a Pelacor Mercenary, but reverse. And if this is going head to head with the Pelacor Mercenary, you win every time. Fire wins every time at diamond or better. Why? Because one, you've got snare, which means you will not miss that Pelacor Mercenary. And then the stun is going to work 50% of the time, and the self-heal, plus the armor is bigger. So this card is actually probably intended to be a specific counter to the Pelacor Mercenary, which is such a strong card with significant win rates. Amazing card for that green team. Just to consolidate my thought, I want to pull up that Pelacor Mercenary in case anybody new doesn't know it. This is it right here. It's a green card, and it's a strong, especially at the highest levels. It's got self-heal, flying, you know, good amount of damage and armor and hit points. So it's an amazing card. It really is. It's so cheap. There's a really high win rate at diamond, but this card is going to counter because snare hits flyers every single time. So the speed is irrelevant. Stun is going to drop 50% and your heal is huge and you got more armor. So I like this card a lot for a counter to a green tank that plays a ton of game. So I actually really like that one at the higher levels, and I think it's okay at the lower levels. It's conditionally okay. Interlock. We've seen this card before. Of course it's good. Like right out the gate, looking just at bronze, this card's really good. This is a rare card. Wow. This is a rare card. And mind you, we just talked about how the mana cap is going to be increased. That was specifically stated in the last town hall by, I think, Matt. And so with that in mind, 10 might be bearable at bronze, but for now, this would not be, you would almost never really play this at bronze currently. But if we get more mana cap, you could see this fitting in. And with that last stand in the close range, it makes it very interesting. And add to that Possibly you as a new player will enjoy Conqueror Yasik, and he's going to have +2 speed. Throw two more speed on this guy. He's going to have Conqueror Yasik has piercing. This guy's going to have piercing. And Scattershot is great too, so you could put him in the back line and let that last stand come to the front. But I'll tell you, there are other cards that are archery focused that have last stand and close range. And there's one on the white team, and I forget his name right now, but I find he's really hit or miss. Because if you're hoping to put your last stander in the back line, and then just hoping that that last stand is going to, if you get to the front, make the difference for you, I just don't like that play, because you're kind of almost allocating some mana cap from your team for the idea that if I lose my first 5 monsters, at least my last guy's got last stand. And I just don't know that that's a real way to successfully construct a team. The idea that you might burn your first 5 monsters and still be okay. So that's not saying Tinderlock's bad. It's just saying I don't know about how effective, unless you're doing like a 13 mana match or a 17 mana match solo tank, right? You could do Tinderlock with Conqueror Yasik, or Tinderlock with Quid Yuff for the piercing, and then that might be enough in those low mana matches. But I don't necessarily love this at bronze in, say, like a 30 mana match. I do like it though. It's the strongest card we've looked at so far. Let's keep looking at its abilities. Okay, silence is always important. And Death Blow, again, I don't love that either. But if you're going mono a mono versus, a Kron or something, this is going to go a long way. I don't know. At the highest levels, of course, I'm going to want it. This looks very strong. But I don't know that this is as good as I've heard people say. I've heard some videos talk about this one because this one came out earlier, like 2 weeks ago or whatever, or a week ago. And this one, it seems like people love it. They think it's the strongest of those first 5 or whatever that were released. And I don't agree. If you've got Yodin, of course it's powerful. If you've got Conqueror Yasik, yeah, that's going to really help you. But those are really exceptional summoners that I'm not sure everyone's going to have access to. Even Conqueror Yasik, who is still to launch, and you might get it from airdrops. Most people didn't buy a ton of Chaos Legion packs, and therefore most people aren't going to get Conqueror Yasik. Maybe you'll get it off the marketplace, but if it's going for $20 a BCX for Conqueror Yasik, like Grandmaster Wraith, then I still believe Conqueror Yasik is going to be scarce. I'm going to have him, and I would like a Tinderlock. I'll definitely use this card, but I'm saying, who is this for? Is it for top tier players? Primarily, it's top tier players in a certain niche, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I've heard other people say this is amazing, so maybe I'm wrong. Of course, the speed's amazing. That's going to be interesting, especially if you add 2 more to it through Yasik or Kitty, or for that matter, you bring Phase to it, possibly, because the last stand is going to double, or going to add you 50% speed. You bring Phase from the dragon. Maybe that becomes interesting. So there's certain synergies that could work really well, but you need to have this summoner or that summoner. And by itself, at bronze, I don't love it. At diamond, I think it's helpful and very conditionally very powerful in certain conditions. So there you go. Techno-Wizologist. Okay. Stun. 2 damage output, 6 mana. I like this card at bronze. That's a good amount of damage with, yes, it's slow, but it's not 1 speed. It's vulnerable, but it's not super vulnerable. Stun is really important. That's a decent mana cost for this sort of kit. You get 8 stats, 2 damage, 2 speed, 4 hit points. 8 stats for 6 mana is a relatively decent deal, and the stun is nice. So at bronze, I like that a lot. You're going to have to be worried about your speed, but in the right conditions, that could be that's okay. It's a relatively slow card through and through. It only stays at 3. Oh, Fury. Fury is the double damage to taunt monsters, which is really important because of how particularly special taunt has become. So I like this card even more. Now, this is a rare card, so you can play this Fury rare level 4 in silver. Yep, you can. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you can play this in silver, which I like that a lot. So I like this card in bronze a ton. I like it in silver even more. In gold, do we get to a place where I think it's super special? It's pretty well a must-have card. And then a diamond champion. Yeah, with that triage, dude, this, in my opinion, is a must-have card. This is the first one where I'm like, this is actually really, really important. Because the Fury counteracts the taunt, because the stun is so rare and therefore even more important. And the camouflage resolves any of its vulnerability. And it's doing 3 damage. Yeah, it's gonna, probably the time that this is most vulnerable is when it's shooting at Magic Reflect monsters, which is what you'll need to do. If you see me using this, you're gonna need to Magic Reflect me. I like that card a lot at every single level. And it's a rare. That's cool. That's a good card. Okay, one more in the fire. Mortius. Oh yeah, I did see this one somewhere too, but I don't know all the details. Glass cannon, right? 4 damage, 2 speed, 5 hit points, opportunity. This is a crazy amount of damage. And again, high amount of stats for, what the mana cost, right? 5 damage, 2 speed, and 4 hit points is 11 for 7. And the opportunity is always great, but I don't like having tons of monsters that have 4 hit points. And a lot of the fire monsters who are melee focused, Serpentine Spy, Cobalt Miner. There's about 3 or 4 monsters on the fire team that have 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hit points. And they're all sneak attacks or opportunities. And they're just too vulnerable. I really don't. I just don't. You want 1 or 2 of those maybe, but I don't know that I have room on my team for Morbius at bronze. It's a huge amount of hit point, damage output. I like it. I just don't know if I have room for it because I already have some of those other better, faster monsters. But again, reverse rule set, I probably want to have it even still. So I don't love it so far. Let's see what else we see. At the silver level, you get 1 more damage, which is kind of irrelevant because you're already in that force field problem, right? You're at a point where force field's a problem for you. Mind you, you got opportunities, so you're probably focus firing non-force field monsters. Probably. Not necessarily. Probably. No extra abilities. No extra hit points. No extra speed. Speed stays slow. I don't love this card. The piercing's great, of course. If you get this in champion and it's a reverse rule set, whoa, and your opponent doesn't drop taunt, doesn't drop force fields, you will delete. This is a diamond champion. I think this is very powerful in reverse rule set, like must have in reverse rule set. At bronze, silver, I think it's interesting. I do. And of course it's a lot of damage, but you're so slow. And I guess there's not very much, to be fair, there's not a lot of force field at bronze or silver. So maybe it's still fine. But again, you're so slow. I bet you whiff. You swing and miss, I bet. Especially as some of these new monsters come out. We got now Kitty and Yasik and the new Life Summoner with +1 speed. And still got Kelly or Frendel. And then you got the Phase from the Dragon Epic. So there's tons of evasiveness and speed. I think this speed is a problem. It makes it very conditional. But yeah, it hits like a truck if it hits. So there is a rule set where melee always hits. You'd want your Mortius in probably a moment like that. It's a strong card. I don't think I would be rushing to get it. I would buy Techno Wizologist before I bought this. And if I could only have one of these cards, Techno Wizologist is my firm winner. The rest are good. Septic Slime is actually number 2. Tinderlock's number 3. Mortius number 4. Ash Mirage number 5. Not that I don't like it. I already told you. I think it's okay. It's just, I don't know. I don't love it. And I didn't include Skargar, who I do think is probably either number 1 or number 2 amongst the new epic summoners. So of course I want her. But yeah, move on. Okay. Blue team. Coastal Nymph. Art style's fun. Looks like a kid's comic book. I like the water blade. Kind of looks like something out of Marvel where Aqualad has like water whips. Yeah, the art's cool. What's the card about? Let's see. 9 mana. That's a lot of mana. A lot of stats here. Really slow. Scattershot I like. I like that it's got armor. Really slow. I never like that. I never like really slow. Let's see. At bronze, maybe this is okay. No, I don't like this at bronze. It doesn't have close range. It's too much mana. Even if they increase mana at bronze, I still don't like this. It's just too slow, and then it has no close range. And so, you know, I'm going to play it in 99 mana matches at bronze, but how often is that going to happen? Even if they change how the mana cap works at the lower levels, I bet that doesn't happen as often as it does at the highest levels of the game. I don't think you get a lot of use out of this at bronze. Let's see, silver. Four, 5. So level 5. Level 5 is going to get you the 4th archery. You're still getting the scatter shot. 3 speed is better. So at silver, again, if you're playing at 90 mana matches, I think you're going to like having that extra hit points. It's another big distraction. I put it in the very back and let it be a sneak attack monster. And scatter shot's great, especially because taunt is so prevalent. So I like it. Affliction is a nice benefit because affliction is annoying. But here's the problem. If you've got affliction, you really want to target key people, tanks that are being healed. You want to target taunt monsters that are being a huge, probably being healed up by support monsters. With the scatter shot, you never know where this is going to land. Therefore, you never know how effective the affliction is going to be. The damage remains strong, but it goes up to 5. I was looking at the speed. At the highest level with the 5 speed and 5 damage and 4 speed, I begin to like it, especially for 99 mana matches. It's good. That's all. That's what I'd say about it at higher levels, and it's interesting in highest mana matches at bronze or silver too. Lemel Refugee. I don't like that art style. There's something about it. I don't like that one. 7 mana. Huge amount of hit points. Good speed at the lowest levels. The Void Armor is nice. I like this as an off, like as a, maybe as like an odd rule monsters only main tank at bronze. Maybe because of the speed and the armor and the avoid and everything. I like it. But I would almost certainly, if it was any monster I could pick, I'd pick the Demon Shark over this thing. Even at bronze. Now, what does it do at silver? At silver, you're getting into here with another damage output, another speed. I like this card. At silver and bronze, I like this card. At gold with the Enrage, I really like the card. This is a strong card. I like this card a lot. It's got excellent speed. Excellent speed. 6 speed at the highest levels is excellent. Enrage on that thing. This card is a must-have, in my opinion. This is an amazing common card. Amazing. I really like it because it's resilient, because it does good damage, because the Enrage works so well with the rule set, like the ability, the package of abilities. The damage output is going to get 50% buffed. The speed is going to get 50% buffed. The armor is a Void Armor, which is that resiliency component. It's got 9 hit points, which is great. It's going to work well with the blue team already has that tank healer that also repairs, and that combination is going to work perfectly with her, right? Get 1 heal, 1 tank out of the same monster. This is an amazing card. I really think this is a must-have. Okay, number 3. And I would say, I think, I said it probably, but I want to reiterate, I think it's must-have at every level. I think at bronze, it's successful. At silver, it's successful. At gold, it's successful and higher. Stalker with the 4 damage at the bronze level. That's pretty. That's interesting because it's so much damage, even though it is slow. It's not 3 damage like one of them was. The camouflage I always like. Snipe. I'm not a huge fan of Snipe. But, and again, it's vulnerable, but it's not vulnerable because the camouflage. In reverse rule set, high mana match bronze, I like this because the camouflage, because it's doing so much damage, because it's so slow. Let's see. It's got even more damage and it becomes slightly faster. So I like it at silver too. I like it okay at conditionally it's at bronze. I like it. I think it's good enough to own at silver. At gold at gold, I think I want it. I'd say I want it because the camouflage and the cleanse is so important, and it's a higher. You know what the thing is, like in those high mana matches, I hate that I have to pick like a 2 mana or a 3 mana card to get a triage. Cleanse is so important, is what I'm saying. Cleanse is what I want. So I like this card. And even at the highest levels, ooh, and headwinds to boot. This is another card I feel is must have. Particularly for the highest levels of the game. It's probably passable at bronze, but at every other level, I'd say it's good. And at the highest levels, I say it's pretty well. It's really going to add something to the water team. So I like these two a lot. Watercolor, we saw this one already, but I already forget. I like it's got stun. It's so slow. It's low mana cost. It's vulnerable. It has a reflection shield, which is always great, but it has no camouflage. It has no evasiveness. It has no armor. This isn't as good as that fire magic monster with the stun. This is not as good, even though it has reflection shield. So I like this card, and the art's really cool, but I could pass on that. In context of looking at these two, it's not nearly as important as either of these. This is for sure far and away the better one. This is number 2, strong number 2 at the highest levels, and watercolors or whatever. So far, I like this one. We talked about that one before. I've never seen this before. Runemancer Kai. I like that. Looks kind of like Zerg Kerrigan, right? Okay, so life leech with the magic. The speed is slow, but if your opponent doesn't have phase, you got the magic, so you're gonna land. I like how much armor and hit points it's got. I like that it's a flyer. So at bronze, I like it. But that's a lot of mana, and we know giant killers out there. So at bronze, I like it, but I find it unlikely that you're gonna get much. That this is going to be a carry card. Do you know what I mean? Magic, if you're facing magic, you will get eaten. If you're not facing magic and you happen to be facing giant killer, you will get eaten. If you're facing against fast phase, you will get eaten. So I feel like this is vulnerable to a lot of counterplays. But I like it for some conditions because that's so much armor and hit point, and it is a good amount of damage at bronze. At the highest levels, wow, 4 damage output, still that 2 speed. Life leech is great with 4 damage output. That could get wild fast. This thing could be a beast mode at the higher levels. And that's the thing too. If you place this in the right condition at any level, the right place in the right rule set with the right speed provisions and whatnot, you're going to life leech yourself to a place where this thing is carry. So if this and that, then this is excellent. There's real conditions around its success though. If you come at me and I've got phase, you're done. If you come at me and I've got magic, you're done. And in lower levels particularly. But when you get into that 4 mana magic, and if I don't magic reflect you or hit you hard and fast, your hit points are going to get out of hand rapidly. And the amplify is so important nowadays. So it's great to have that. You can put this in the back line and watch this thing get 15 hit points by the time it sits in the front. So at diamond or champ, I think this is going to be amazing. At bronze, I think it's kind of maybe. It's going to depend on the rule sets and on the mana cap being increased. So for me, Lemel Refugee is by far the strongest winner here. And that surprises me because the Runemancer is actually the legendary. And Runemancer is amazing at a champion. So I like that too. Sea Stalker I like a lot at the highest levels, and it's good at the medium levels. Watercolor was okay. Coastal Nymph was okay. Green, Ramble Pixie with the Reach Monster slow speed. At bronze, I can't see myself playing that with the 1 speed unless it was a reverse rule set. So maybe you want 1 BCX for bronze, but I just don't like building a deck for a reverse rule set play. So if your money is stretched, this is almost like for sure a pass, unless it gets amazing. And I don't see it getting amazing. Yeah, it's got some decent damage output. It is a reach monster, which is great. The speed gets better. But see, where is this useful? At bronze, it's playing at the reverse rule set, and at diamond is playing on the standard rule set. So I feel like it doesn't have a niche that it slips into your deck at bronze and then holds until diamond. Some of the best cards are good at bronze, and they fill a certain role there, and then they continue to fill that role at silver, but in a bigger way, and at gold, but in a bigger way, and at diamond or champion, but they add extra abilities and fill even more roles. Here we're kind of going for one sort of attack and one sort of style of engagement, and then over here it's a totally different vibe. The tank heal is cool. We don't get a lot of tank heal in that second position, or sorry, not tank heal, I mean personal heal. So that's interesting, and that'll be annoying to face off against, because you'll get a tanker, you get a tank heal, you get a secondary healer, there'll be all that meat shield from the green, and green does meat shields quite well, at least historically. In the Modern League, they've fallen away from that with some of their glass cannon stuff, but this will be, I guess, an opportunity for that. That's where I see this being really helpful. Just that meat shield, 10 more hit points with a heal of itself, helping you fight against blast, right? Because it's going to heal itself. So, at highest levels, I want it. I don't know why someone would, for instance, want it at silver. Let's put it that way. So I might like it conditionally, 1 BCX at bronze. I would, actually. And I will definitely like it at diamond, but I don't really see a ton of usefulness for it at, for instance, silver or even gold. Lichen Beast, 7 hit points, 5 mana. That's nice. Phase, but it's so slow. Let's see what happens here. It gets better speed, but it's not fast enough that phase becomes deeply relevant. The Enrage helps a lot, because the 4 speed will become 6, and then it's maybe interesting, but I'd say this is not that strong. Now, it is a common card, and you're still getting 4 damage out of it. I don't know. If this was 4 mana, I'd love it. But honestly, at 5 mana, that changes a lot. It's no longer available in Little League. I like this. I do. It's got a good amount of hit points. It's got decent speed, decent hit points, and Enrage is going to go a long way with the phase. I like it. I don't love it. Yeah. And the new green summoner is like an archery focus. So like this isn't even necessarily synergizing with any of the green summoners, right? Obsidian, nope. The new green summoner, Bernhardt, nope. It probably serves a role. And it could be quite evasive if you build your team right. But I think there's better ways to build a phase evasive play than this. You know what I mean? Get a monster who's fast already, even faster than this, 6 speed, that has phase, and throw Enrage on it using the right summoner. Or throw phase on a Enrage monster that's even faster than this, which we saw 1 or 2 of them in previous, just today. I forget where they were. Might have been blue. One of these, this guy here. Was it this one? Yeah, right here. This 6 speed with this Enrage is way better than that other tank we just looked at, because you could throw phase on this by using a dragon summoner, and this 6 speed is going to turn into 9 because of that Enrage. And then a phase from the dragon is going to make that almost unhittable. If you bring any speed manipulation or blind or whatnot, this card becomes nasty with that dragon. So Lemel Refugee does so much better than what Lichen Beast is trying to do, just by bringing in a summoner, and I don't see a similar synergy for Lichen Beast. So interesting, probably good in some situations, relatively cheap, but I don't super like it. Uloth Dampier, low, but again, bronze, 9 mana, super high. It's got a good amount of hit points, which at least gives it that going for it. It's got that stun, which of course I like. At silver, we're getting 4 damage and no more speed. We're getting a triage. Okay, I'm listening. This starts to be like triple triage stuff, right? We get triple or even quadruple triage, holding up my Mesillic slip spawn in that back line, which makes green with the Mesillic slip spawn even more powerful, and it has been powerful. So we need to be watching to counter green. I'm going to say what we're wanting is more affliction, more stun. Not more stun. Actually, stun would be helpful, but more affliction, more fury would be really helpful against green. Green's turning into a really nasty taunt team. Shaman, I talked about this one already. I like this one, although recharge is questionable. You know, that hitting in that every other turn situation can be nasty and yet can be crappy. So, but here's the thing, recharge with the giant killer, and it's got a good amount of hit points, and in high mana matches you can bury this thing. I think this is a strong card. You could be doing 3, 9, 18 magic damage. And here's the thing, guys, you might not know this. You could be doing 18 magic damage at champion or diamond, or let me say it otherwise. At bronze, you could be doing 2 times 3 is 6 times 2. No, 2 times 3 is 6. But you might say, well, it's going to reflect 3 magic damage to me if I hit a magic reflect. No, it doesn't. The magic reflect is based on your base damage. So the magic reflect coming back at you will be 1 because your base damage is 2. You get half of that coming back at you. You don't get the full recharge, half of that reflected. And so when you're doing 18 damage or whatever at the highest levels against giants, right? 3 times 3 is 9, times 2 is 18 if you're hitting a giant. You will not get 9 damage sent back to you in the event of hitting a magic reflect. You would get 2 damage because your base is 3 and then half of that rounding up. So I like this card, but recharge is questionable. Bernhardt we talked about, Rune Mancer Flore. This card art is so special. And this is amazing. Like, this damage output is wild. And look at these hit points. This is crazy. Holy cow. This is really, really impressive at bronze. Now, 13 mana, giant killer, watch out. Archery doesn't usually fire from the first position, but you could have Fernheart making that functional. I like this card a lot. At bronze, if you have Fernheart, I like this card a lot. Now, vulnerable, right? Slow, no heals, no void armor, no shield. So I like it more in like a 99 where you can drop it in the back and let it just do its thing. It has no taunt. I love that it has no taunt because it has no sustain. It has no armor. Its speed is slow. But look at this beast mode doing 3 magic and 4 archery damage. This thing is a destroyer of worlds in the right context. In a 99 mana match in the 6th position, it's going to defend you against sneak attack monsters because it's got 13 hit points. It's also going to do 7 damage, and that can't be nerfed by force field because neither of them are 5 or more. So this is a strong card. This is so far maybe the best one from green. It is. It's by far the best one from green. So that's the first legendary of the new Riftwatchers that I felt was stunning, but I feel it is visually stunning and deeply powerful. And that it has no taunt is actually huge because usually the big ones have taunt. This one's super vulnerable. I like that it doesn't have taunt. I don't want it to be the focus fire because it has no sort of sustain or shields or whatever. How are we going? We're already at 38 minutes. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna release one big beast mode. Dumake Exile. I don't like this art. He's cool looking, but there's something... No, I don't like that one. Artistically. I'm not sure why. Okay, 6 mana. Sneak. I like that it's got an armor. It's got good speed, which is really important for sneak monsters. You want to go first. And that armor is really important for sneak monsters. It's a 6 mana monster, though, and usually sneak monsters are cheaper. So... I like it though. 2 damage, 4 speed. At bronze, I like this card. At silver, it's got 1 more hit point. I like it even more at silver. It's got fury. At gold, I like it even more. And yeah, this is a must-have card. This is like a for sure must-have card because of that fury, because of the damage output, because of the sustainability of the sneak attack that it is with the higher hit points and the 1 armor. It's like a better Uraeus. Plus the fury is really powerful. Now it's focused on the life splinter as opposed to Uraeus, which is neutral, but I like that a lot. And it doesn't have poison either, but I like that a lot with that fury and the speed and the damage and the armor. Time Meddler, dodge, but so slow, who cares? Good damage, but high mana. Don't love it. I'm thinking pass right now. The speed is really underwhelming, so that dodge is really who gives a crap. It's just totally irrelevant. Well, it's not irrelevant, but it's not like this thing is going to be evasive. And therefore, I don't know. don't like that at all. It's got the return fire, which really you don't want this thing being in your first position, and therefore I don't know how often you're going to be struck with archery damage. The thorns, again, maybe at the highest levels. Look at this, 10 hit points, 5 armor, and you combine this with Grandmaster Wraith. So I'm now thinking about Grandmaster Wraith, and of course Grandmaster Wraith changes the dynamics. I still don't like it at bronze though, because it's just so slow, and I'd way rather have a wide variety of other tanks, even though it could work well with Wraith, Grandmaster Wraith. I only like it at bronze in like a high mana match where it could be put at the back and really be beneficial in that same way when and if it makes to the front. In this rule, like as we get here where we have, look at 4 more hit points and 1 more armor. That's a lot more hit points. 5 more hit points at the diamond level. I start to say, yeah, this is something you're going to want. So I kind of like this as a 1 BCX thing. And I kind of like this as a 400 BCX thing. And I kind of don't like it in the middle. Yeah. And you need to have Grandmaster Wraith. So Dumak is leading the way because Time Meddler is conditional. I feel like Dumak is, everyone's going to want that. Rune Slinger, cool art, really cool art. Looks like he's got these like discs that he throws. Done again. Good speed, that's so important to me. High speed. And it's not high speed though, it's just good speed. I love Cripple, I love Afflict, I love Stun. This kit is really special. Combo together with that mana. Ooh, with 5 mana, this is at the highest levels a must-have. Because the stun is so helpful. With the 4 speed is really, and you're gonna get 1 more speed from your new life summoner. 3 damage output, 5 mana with the stun, afflict, and cripple. And cripple is being unnerfed. Remember, cripple was cleansable up until now. It's not going to be cleansable in the future. I like this card a lot. This is strong, and I really need it, but it's still not better than Dumak. Or Ser Busan. We talked about this one. This one, if you have Wraith, is necessary because the armor, health, the reach is so important. The reflection is so important. I say it's really strong. This is probably better. Yeah, this is definitely better than that Dumak sneak attack monster, because it really is a substantial secondary tank that hits from the second position with a reflection shield. And if you've got a taunt monster, this thing is broken. Like, you need this thing. So sure, this is so far by far this is a strong leader. Ilthane I think is good, maybe not great. Ooh, I like that art. He looks really like old and dangerous. Super slow, headwinds, again, good partner for Grandmaster Wraith. It feels like these two monsters that do magic from the white team are relatively slow and are going to be really helpful in reverse rule sets with Grandmaster Wraith. But if you're playing regular rule sets, and especially as with phase and stuff like that, that's around now, I don't know. Last Stand is interesting. Last Stand turns to 5 magic and the force field. Okay. This is really strong. I like that a lot. And it's not even a giant with 9 mana. Okay, wow. That's good. That's really good. Now, how do I decide? If it was really Runemancer or Corsair, wow, that's tough. They are both exceptional cards. It depends what other cards you have. You know, if you got a strong melee team, I always find it's best to stay focused on melee if that's your thing. Like I don't like to have 2 melee, 2 magic, 2 archery monsters in the same battle. That's a mistake I usually find. So if you're more of a melee focus, I really think this is absolutely necessary for your white team, especially if you have the shield bearer. If you don't have the shield bearer and you don't have Grandmaster Wraith, then possibly this becomes more valuable than it does. Runemancer becomes more valuable at the highest levels if you don't have Wraith. But it's so valuable if you do have Wraith. You hear me? So it's like, of those 2 cards, this one needs Wraith less. So this card is the winner if you don't have Wraith and you're never going to buy Wraith. This one is the winner if you have Wraith, and especially if you have the Shield Bearer. So it's hard to say which is one or two, but they're both necessary, I'd say. And that's the first one out of any of the splinters I felt there was two I had to have. And I'd say Dumok is like a strong one it. So almost three necessary cards. I don't know if I would say these are the best cards out of Riftwatchers so far. But as far as monsters go, they are in the running for best Riftwatcher monsters that I've seen so far. And I haven't looked at Death or Dragon or Neutral yet, but are they better than that green magic monster that did both? The Rune Mancer? Are they better than Lemel Refugee, which I think is amazing? Are they better than Techno-Wizologist? They're definitely better than Techno-Wizologist. So the question so far for best overall hero is between Lemel and Corsair or Rune Mancer, in my opinion. But let's keep looking. And Dumok is exceptional, but by these comparisons, he's not even good in comparison. But he is exceptional. It's just these are so much better. From the death perspective, we talked about Night Ghoul already, so I won't focus too much time on him. I like him. Huge hit points and rage is nice. Low speed, but he's going to be faster. I like him. At bronze, I like him. At silver, I think you got to have him. At gold, this card could be game changing. It's probably game changing already from the death perspective because it's such a meaty tank and it does so much. And yeah, it's a giant, but the force field protects it from those big giant kills. So I think this is a very strong card. It's not as good as Demel from the blue team, but it's a very strong card. It might be the best one from black. Let's keep looking. Arachnid Thug. Creepy but cool artwork. A lot of spiders on the black death team. I don't love this. It's just like another mediocre reach monster so far. Let's see. At silver, at bronze I would pass. At silver, I would Trample's interesting, I guess. Yeah. Okay. At silver, I'd want it. At gold, I probably wouldn't play it at gold, but it might get some play occasionally. At champion, in a lower mana match, I could really see this working with the knockout and the trample and the 4 damage with the 4 speed and the good amount of armor. So I like it at the highest levels, and I think it's just okay at the lower level. Definitely not one of the better cards I've seen. Cabalist is super crazy sick art. It looks like a Time Mage, but like evil. Time Mage is from the Life Splinter. Good amount of damage, good amount of hit points, decent mana cost, relatively slow. Amplify is so important. Ooh, it's got Giant Killer. Demoralize is always nice to see, but is a little bit... Yeah, it's always nice to see. I don't like this. It's not as if this is a hugely important ability in my mind. When I get here, I'm now looking, this is like whatever. And I'm like, did the magic go up? So 4 damage for 7 mana at 4 speed at the highest levels. I'd say this is a really strong card that I'm going to want. I think this is going to be among the better death cards that I've... Night Ghoul is like a totally different card and I like it more. Cabalist is great. Queen of Crows, that artwork is really cool. That purple pink hair is really sick. No. I mean, the thing is you're getting a meat shield, or you might even call it a tank. And you do have close range, so it is a tank. It's an off tank. And it's got the headwinds, which is great. It's got the slow and the archery return fire. So this is good. But I just, you know, if you were going to play this, you really would want a 99 mana match where this was in like your 3rd or 4th spot. And if it made it to the front, it made it to the front. And you're happy because of the close range. But like, tell me you're going to pick this as your tank over this. You're just 100% not going to do that. And so like the fact that this has close range is cool, but it's like, and it's got high hit points. So it's like a tank, right? That's kind of what they're going for. But you just wouldn't pick this thing as a tank. So the only way this is getting love is if it's a 40, 50, 60, 99 mana match where you're putting it in the 3rd or 4th spot and you love that it has high hit points there, because if it does make, it's going to protect you from snipers. It's going to get, and if it's going to give you some of that support. If you got like, you're playing at silver or gold, you're getting slows and headwinds. But it just really is exclusively for those high mana matches. And otherwise, I don't like it. It's not bad. It's just, I don't really know why I would flock to that, why I would use that over even the Cabalist, which is going to be doing more damage along the way, more damage, and the giant kill, and the amp is so huge. And so I actually prefer the Cabalist, which costs less mana, even though this has more hit points. I prefer the Arachnid Thug than the Queen of Crows. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but I find it highly unlikely that I would get a lot of use out of that. Unless it was like melee aren't useful. You like the rule set where you can't use melee monsters. And then yeah, maybe you use this as your main tank, therefore oppress doesn't hurt you because you got archery damage, right? But that's very niche. I don't like Dallin. Ooh, double strike. Dallin will benefit from that double strike, of course. The slow speed is a problem. The scatter shot is interesting. What will happen when it's a double strike scatter shot? Will it hit the same target twice, or will it hit him once and somebody else a different time? That's really interesting to know, because with Dallin, if you could double strike the same target twice in one round, you're getting two cripples with Dallin. So this card might make Dallin more palatable, but I really think Dallin is the worst of all the new summoners. One of the problems with the Death Team and with the lore of this game is that they've kind of committed themselves to death being really dark magic. Think things like, look at the imagery: spiders and crows, witches and warlocks, cripple, poison. You know what I mean? It's all dark stuff. It's not like triage, repair, heal, resurrect. Those are all life splinters, some abilities, and therefore life is better. The life team is better because those abilities, resurrect, repair, heal, are better abilities than things like poison, affliction, life leech, for the most part. So I love Death Splinter, but they suffer from a lack of certain key abilities because of the lore of what death is. And so you need to look for your neutral team to try and build out some of that. Find some of your tank healers with your neutral team. Find some support abilities that are really important, like triage, from either neutrals or dragons, and bring them into the death team. And then that becomes very powerful. So I didn't say from the death team, I think Night Ghoul is the strong number one at every level. I think Raw is interesting, but not great. Too much mana, too few hit points. And as far as the legendaries go, he's among, I don't know, man. Like I think this is not one of the better legendaries, right? Like, yeah, Giant Killer is interesting, but you don't even know if you're going to be targeting the Giant. Rust is cool, but I don't know, 12 mana? It doesn't even have close range. It doesn't even have like 10 hit points or whatever. So, from the neutral or from the legendary perspective, it's not up there. Doesn't compare with this Runemancer Flore. It probably doesn't compare with Runemancer Kai. It definitely doesn't compare with Runemancer Atuat. So from the death, it's Night Ghoul for number one, maybe Arachnid or possibly Cabalist for number two. Queen of Crows is interesting, but these are just interesting, and this is probably must have. Okay, here on death. Dragon. Whelp Herder art is cool. Okay. Look at 3 mana. Love the 3 mana dragons. Sometimes dragon monsters are really expensive. So like the lower mana dragons, I like them a lot. Opportunity, cool. 3 damage output at the highest levels, very interesting. For 3 mana, love that. And a huge amount of hit points for what it costs. So this to me is very good. It doesn't fly, but it like that it has snare, which is going to be great in those when you're facing off against flyers, because that's 100% hit rate. Opportunity is interesting. Dispel is cool, I guess. I'm going to want this for sure. But it's a bit player. Okay, let me finish a thought there. The Whelp Hoarder is really good, but it's a bit player in your deck. That's not a carry card. It's a nice contributor in the back lines of a strong sneak or opportunity play, right? If you got the right cards to support it, it's really interesting for that 3 mana cost. Very. But it's not a carry card. I can see this beast mode over here is like, this is what I mean when I talk carry. So what do we got here? Oh, I love this like mechanized dragon. Oh, that looks so awesome. Okay, crazy speed. Match that up with phase. The flight, right? Like this is going to work really well with that phase summoner. Now, of course, it does have archery. Therefore, if it's in the first position, it's not necessarily going to do any damage. But maybe that's okay because it's got a certain amount of hit points, a decent amount of hit points. It's got flying. At bronze, this thing is going crazy amount of evasiveness at bronze. Even if you made this your tank and you put the phase on it, I suspect you win. I suspect you out dodge them. But I don't know if I like it for that purpose alone. It's like that could work once in a while as like a trick play. Let's see what it does at higher levels. More damage, more. It really stays about the same hit point. Speed stays the same. Ooh, it's got the reflection shield and the giant killer. Okay. Especially at high mana matches, I love this because I'm going to want another giant killer. Oh, it's a sniper. But see, I'm expecting most beasts, most giants that you end up killing are going to be the big taunt monsters with the 10 plus mana. And therefore, I think you're going to be directed, despite snipe, to hit the right target. And therefore, I think you're going to do bombs of damage. This card to me looks really good. And I like that it's not. I love it. I love its speed. I love its hit points and sustain like resiliency. And I love that it has that giant killer and the reflection shield. So I think that's very strong. It's better than Whelp Herder, even though Whelp Herder is good. Agor Longtail. Kind of a cartoony style, but I like it a lot. I like it. It's, you know, not what I wouldn't compare it to the other way the other dragons look, but I like it. And the double attack, right? Just like that one with the green splinter. Ooh, and the void armor. Oh, it's got taunt. Watch out. Giant killers unite. It's got the void armor, which is great. But certain monsters are going to just delete you. Just going to delete it. Huh. I almost don't like the taunt on this one, but here's the deal. It's a taunt that can be put with any other team. And some of you don't have any taunt monsters. If you don't have a taunt monster, this is must have. And at the highest levels, this is must have, I'm sure. Let's look at the stats, but I'm going to say even just looking at this, it looks must have. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be among the best taunts monsters because it's going to get giant killed and we're getting so many more giant killers. The speed's just whatever. The armor's huge. The hit points are gigantic. The damage output is crazy. If I play this and you don't bring giant killers, you're dead. This card is so good, but because of the prevalence of giant killer now, I'm a little nervous for this one. Mastercrafter. Mastercrafter, sick artwork. I love that. He just looks like a real warrior, like he's just charging into battle. And I don't know, there's like runes on his archery, on his arrow. And crossbow, he looks like he's ready to go. He looks like a dwarf too, I love it. And fury, okay. Super slow. Too much mana for what it is at bronze. At bronze, I'm passing. At, you know, silver, still passing. Even though fury is so helpful, you know, and you could be dropping bombs. Maybe at silver, I want it. At gold, I probably feel I need it. And at the highest levels, you probably, because taunt is so prevalent, you really, I think you this. Anything with Fury is going to be necessary, I think, although I don't love the abilities. And it is a neutral archery, which is great for your Sloan play. One more monster to choose from. The Junker. Cool looking. Low. I don't think I like it. You know, small hit points for a secondary tank, I would say. No armor makes it quite vulnerable. It has no void, no shield, no void armor. It's relatively slow. And again, it starts super slow and gets faster. I don't know who you're appealing to when you get a monster like that. At bronze, it's one thing. At diamond, it's a different thing. The damage output is trivial at lowest levels and, you know, significant at higher. The repair is pretty cool. And, you know, obviously you'd put this out with like a, you know, with a, you know, might really help a Grandmaster Wraith. That's interesting, but it doesn't have reflection shield. So if you were playing this with the Grandmaster Wraith in the second position, you're susceptible to blast damage. So it's interesting. So far, I don't love either of them, although I think you need to have Mastercraft because anything with Fury probably is a must-buy. Just that alone makes it probably a must-buy. Ooh, Blast from a neutral is always good. And Magic, you're only going up to 2 damage, but the Shatter is important, and Blind is so important. Because of the kit, I think it's a strong card, and the art's amazing. But it's so slow, and it's very vulnerable, and it has no camouflage or anything like that. So I think this is a risky card. You know, you might pick this and then just go ahead and get deleted, right? We've looked at cards today, like that Fire card, which would just go right after that one, right? And just erase it. Fire Mortius, even at bronze, is going to just go eat that thing with the opportunity and just slap it once and then dead. And so for, you know, while this is a very interesting card, and I'm sure a lot of people play it, this card's going to get smacked around unless you bring Protect with your team. And of course, or a Taunt. And so, I don't know. And it does decent damage because of the Blast, but it's not like it has Snipe or Opportunity. The Shatter is always nice. You'd be surprised how often Shatter is a real game changer. I think Shatter is kind of overlooked, especially as we see more and more armor and Grandmaster Wraiths reliance on armor, and some of these monsters today had crazy armor. So that's going to be a cool monster to have in some situations, but the vulnerability is real. Blind is always helpful. If you don't have Blind, you need Blind. It reduces your opponent's ability to hit you by 15%. And when you tie that together with some of these phase or enrage summoners, it's going to do crazy things for your evasiveness. So if you can keep this thing alive, that Blind could be really helpful to have at the highest levels. And here we go. Last monster. I'm going to call that Quirrell Lurker. He looks really cool. Yeah, I like that. And dangerous, right? Okay. Big hit points. No resiliency except for the dodge. Taunt is dangerous when you're a giant. Good amount of damage, good amount of speed. At bronze, I bet that you get away with this thing being, you know, dodging a fair bit. But that giant kill is going to be a problem for you. Phase is just interesting, but not special at these speed rates. This is cool, but I don't like this compared to some of the other cards today. Now, I still feel I'm going to need it, and you might really benefit from it. So none of the, when I've said there's only a few of the cards today that I felt were like a pass. Most of them are really strong and you're going to want them. But you know, no one has enough money for everything. And when you start analyzing, well, how would this compare to some of these other legendaries that we looked at? Like, let's just look at the legendaries quickly. The legendaries, like I'd say Runemancer is really special. And I'd say one Mortius is probably pretty important. You know, Agor is going to be super nasty unless you bring Giant Kill. If you bring Giant Kill, I could be in trouble. But he's super nasty, and he's the only... Well, we have 2 taunts now. These ones you're going to probably want just because you want taunt. And taunt allows you to control your opponent's attack approach. So I'd say these are probably necessary from a strategic standpoint, but I don't necessarily believe Coral is that strong because it doesn't have enough speed. It doesn't have any armor. It doesn't have anything that's going to heal it or sustain it. And it's probably even more vulnerable than Agor. And Agor is doing more damage. So this is of the two is far, far, far better. So I mean, I feel like Runemancer is really special. Atuat, this life one is the best legendary on the well. This card is so good. And it's not a giant. This card is so good at every level. Yeah, Agor. Agor wins the day. Agor is the best legendary in the bunch with a close second for Atuat, because remember, Atuat's going to partner with Grandmaster Wraith for most modern players, and that's going to be really nasty. But then Flore is good too, man. This is tough. But some of these are really, like I'd pass on Ra. I'd pass on Kai, even though I like Kai in some situations. And I could imagine Ra being powerful in certain, but it's like, again, you don't have money for everything. So don't pretend like, oh, they're all amazing, I need to have them all. Well, how are you going to pay for it? And the epic summoners, you probably need those too. And some of these rares were better than even the legendaries. Like Corsair Boson is so good. Cabalist is really exceptional. I like the Runic Skyclaw a lot. Tinderlock, most people think is really, I liked Techno Wiz a ton. And the commons were surprisingly good. I really thought Septic Slime is necessary. I really think Lamel Refugee is amongst the best cards in this series, regardless of rarity. Some of those legendaries aren't this good. And that's, again, assuming you're going to be able to have access to one of these epic summoners, because Lamel, with this speed and Enrage, is going to partner so well with any of Vispa. I was going to say like any of the summoners. He's going to partner well with Vispa or Aquatus. And then Kitty, and I guess that's it. Water monster. But it's an exceptional common monster. So Agor Longtail, best legendary, but it's a tough fight because Atuat is right behind him. Epic. Well, we talked about summoners. I think Skyargor, Thispa, or Aquatus are my three favorites. Rare cards. This is the toughest of the bunch, but Corsair runs away with it. But there are some other really good ones here. I like Cabalist a lot. I like Techno-Wizologist. I like the Technomancer. I like most of these cards. The rare level, Skyclaw, was the hardest for me to decide amongst. And then the common is Dumok, Time Meddler, Night Ghoul, and Lemel Refugee is the winner though. And Slime Septic. So common and rares I felt were really, really good. Epics and legendaries were strong, but some of them were way better than others. Let me know what you guys think below. Did I miss something? Am I misunderstanding the usefulness of some of these cards? Which of those ones that I like? You know what? This of the legendaries specifically, what do you think? Did I get it right? Is it Agor and then Atuat and then Flore, or do you have a top three that's different than that? Okay, guys, have an amazing day. God bless.